Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I look a bit frazzled today, and I'm actually a minute late. Oh my God. And I'm a minute late for a fairly legitimate reason, actually. And I'm going to tell you about it in 2 seconds. The first thing I need to do is get that out of the way. I need to click on Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Now, for those of us who are just getting together for the first time, I'm Abby Haggard. And these are my podcasts, my video streams. And a long time ago in a far off land, I got my start in show business through a television series called You Can't Live on Television, and then segued from there to things like Care Bears and whatnot. And what I do now is I combine the ability that I have to perform live and do events and host things. Good morning, Freddie, and talk to people and have wonderful chats and experiences with all the coaching work that I used to do with young actors, and when I taught them, and when I help people kind of reframe their brand. So it's kind of turned into a mom without any intention whatsoever. So that's my backstory. And so the reason for these videos, so welcome to Instagram and LinkedIn and Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. Hi, guys. So here's the thing that happened to me yesterday. My bank account got hacked. Yay. Now, the reason that might sound familiar to some of you is that it was exactly this time last year that my bank account got hacked. And the first time was horrifying, of course, and rush around madly and do all the things that you're supposed to do. And one of the things that I did do it, however, it somehow fell through the cracks, was go to the car dealership and give them the void check thing for the new bank account to process for my car loan. And for some reason, that process done by the car dealership didn't go through. And as a result of that, a few weeks later, actually on my birthday, as a matter of fact, somebody came to repossess the car. Last year, Carol and I were laughing because she said, remember last year I got an eclipse? And I said, oh God, yes. And I got. So we were laughing when we had lunch last week. So yesterday, so I spent an hour and a half at the bank yesterday, and I have to go back and spend an hour and a half at the bank today. We have to change everything all over again because now, since the previous scenario, everything is hypervigilant. They're cleaning everything. They're starting over again. And I said, wait. I need all my records and stuff for my taxes and my accounting. And this. Oh, of course, yes, we'll print everything. So today I get to go and do that all over again. Yes, Mistress of Reinvention. Yeah. I don't think I like the title, but you're right. So talk about Pivotry in motion. and because why not? Today they're shutting off the water in the building because there's something that they have to fix. So there's no water between now and 5 o'clock. Well, that's okay because I'm going to be at the bank most of the day. So I was a little frazzled, and I apologize for being late because, the most important thing is when you say you're going to be someplace, especially for people who are coming to watch you, even a minute late is late, right? So I apologize. Won't happen again. Now then, enough about me. Why is it always about me? The title of the video today is a joke, is a pun on a very well-known Latin phrase, Cogito Ergo Sum, I think, therefore I am. And I decided to play with it. So today we're talking about Cogito Ego Sum. Lucky you, here I am. And the reason I wanted to talk about ego was a couple of things. It not just because of the way we think of ego, not just because of this is my good side and this is my other good side. That's the kind of ego we think of all the time. What I really want to talk about, what is really getting in our way, is that the ego part of the brain is actually very small. It thinks it's all that in a bag of chips, but it's not. The ego part of the brain, the thinking part of the brain, the part of the brain that says, here I am, I'm thinking, therefore I am all. No, there's another part. There's several parts of the brain, but the most important, essential survival part of the brain is our very ancient limbic subconscious brain. The subconscious brain takes care of 90% of 95% of everything that keeps us alive. The thinking brain, in its various components, manages 5%. So take a number. But it doesn't know that. It doesn't know. They don't talk to each other. It's like so it's like so many relationships, really. It's a lot of words, but no talking going on. And so, oh no, Freddie, we had the water, I have the coffee. We plan ahead for these emergencies. Thank you though for asking. Good morning, Rhea. Good morning. So what we're talking about today is the sneaky way that the thinking brain tends to train wreck what we're doing. And the reason I want to talk about that, especially now, up here in Canada, we are what's today? Today is the 24th. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We are 4 days away from a national election. 4 days. So when you think of you know all the countries, and it's a big deal. It is a big deal here too. We are for the first time in many years, several years, electing a new leader. And there is much fraught going on here as everywhere in the moment. And typically there is in elections because people have different opinions. The rhetoric, though, is getting pretty nasty this time. And I have this really strong temptation to say to people, go to your room. Go to your room until you can put a civil tongue in your head. I begin to sound like my grandmother. So here's the issue. Here's the thing. When we think with our ego, we're not thinking strategically. We're not thinking intuitively. We're not thinking about the bigger picture. We're not thinking like one of those many layered pastries. You know, they're called millefeuille, a thousand sheets of pastry. When we think with our ego, we're thinking in rigid straight lines. We're thinking yes or no, this or that. We're not paying attention to the fact that there's always a door number 3. There are always many shades of every choice because the universe is like that. Nature is like that. There are no straight lines. There are no single straight lines. There are no straight lines of any kind in nature. There is no one thing in nature. There are many shades and many layers and many gradations of things in nature. So our conceit to say it must be this or that. Now we turn the page and that is over. No, it isn't. That's what our ego wants it to be. Nice and clean and straight lines and color in the line, inside the lines, and we do this or we don't do this. Okay, that's not how it works. In the first place, that's not how it works. We're talking laws of physics here. That's not how it works. Second thing is, other law of physics. For every action, there is an equal and opposite reaction. And it's on a pendulum. So it doesn't go near, near. It goes like this. Many layers, many stages, many, many, many shades. If you say it must be this and cannot be that, you're nuts because it's going to be that in a minute. Why? Because it's physics. So when I have conversations with people who get hot and loud and focused on it has to be this. We can start seeing them get younger and younger and younger until finally they're roughly 5 years old and somebody starts screaming, "You're not the boss of me," which is a clear indication that they've lost their mind. They've lost their ability to think reasonably. They've lost their ability to think in terms of togetherness. They've lost their ability to think in terms of collaboration. It has to be this or not at all. Red Queen and Alice in Wonderland, off with their heads. So the conversation that I want to have today, because here it is, it is the fourth Thursday of birthday month. We have 6 days left to celebrate birthday month. And every single day, I'm finding something brilliant and powerful and positive and nurturing and cherishing and memorable in every moment. When the glitch happened yesterday and I got the phone call from the bank, and I said, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you." And the fellow said, "Boy, we don't often get that." And I said, "Well, you're doing a job to protect me." And he said, "Oh, it's really great." And I said, "Well, you tell your supervisor that I appreciate you." And then right after that, I got another call from somebody saying, "We wanted to thank you for your comments because these calls may be recorded for." And I said, "Well, you're more than welcome, and I'd like to thank you for calling me back." It can feel overwhelming. It can feel as though when things that are happening too fast, when things that are happening don't seem to be friendly, we can feel powerless. We all felt powerless and confused and set adrift without a rudder or an anchor or a rope tied to the dock for over 3 years during the pandemic. In my lifetime, in my parents' lifetime, we'd never experienced anything like it. We had no training for it. There was no instruction booklet. The people in charge are just ordinary, everyday people who get up and put their pants on the same way we do, had no idea what to do. They have to say something. We have to say something. All right, say something. And then they had to change it tomorrow. They said, "I'm going to look like an idiot." Well, you still have to change it. And so it was waffling back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And people were angry and people were scared and people were confused and people were, well, why are they, who are they? And why, da, 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 da. All of that is fear-based. All of that is confusion-based. All of that is, I don't like how close I am to the mouth of the cave where the saber-toothed whatnots are. I wanted to go back to where it is safe. There was no going back to where it was safe because change doesn't go back. Change always moves forward. So that became a scenario in which people wanted to fight change, resist change. Not for any particularly intelligent reason, not for a well thought out reason, but simply because I'm not going to do it. You can't make me. You're not the boss of me. They had reverted to childhood and they were terrified. And I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you, except for one thing. Terrified doesn't get you anywhere. Terrified is getting your boot stuck in the mud. You need to get your boot out of the mud. You're spending all your energy getting the boot out of the mud. Take the boot off and pull the boot. Oh, I get my foot wet, dirty. Oh God, that'll be the first time you got your foot wet and dirty. You don't understand. Yes, I do. Get your foot out of the boot, pull the boot. My collaborating person and I are working on the definitions of two very exciting things right now. One is fearless intelligence, and the other is ruthless intelligence. And it fascinates me. It fascinates me, the difference. And when we think of ruthless intelligence, we think of this juggernaut and a quality of rage. And that's not accurate. If we all remember back to watching the History Channel television series Vikings, the character of Ragnar Lothbrok was calculated, human, funny, intuitive, and ruthless. He didn't start out ruthless. As he matured, he became ruthless. Not ruthless in and of itself, but ruthless in intelligence. Sizing up the enemy, sizing up the opportunity, looking at the big picture, seeing the long-term outcome. They're doing this. Why? Oh, I see. Well, then we'll just shortcut and go there. Very, very interesting character. And by all accounts, accurate in historical records and whatnot. Fearless intelligence is a different thing. It's not unafraid. It is brave in the face of uncertainty. It is positive in the face of negativity. It is walk in here when someone says no. And in our conversation back and forth about it, I said, this is going to be so helpful in the next days coming, because there are four levels of intelligence that are being explored. And the umbrella, the rallying cry for Pivotry in motion, the fuel, the wind beneath the wings of Pivotry in motion is this: there is a way back from broken. There is. I'm one of many poster children. Pivotry in motion is the linchpin, is the trigger, is the seed, fueled by fearless and ruthless. And healing intelligence. So this is not one or the other. This is not black or white. This is an opportunity to look at the way people are digging their heels in, look at the why behind the what, and speak to them there. Speak to the why, and not this. Conversate about the why. Find out who they are. I wrote a business book in 2006, which I'm updating. I had it on Amazon. I took it off because I want to update it. And the secret to success in business is mind-numbingly simple. Find out what they want. Give it to them. Not find out what the competition does and copy the competition. Well, how do you find out what they want? You could try asking them. You could say, what's your favorite thing? Oh, real? Why? Why? And they'll tell you. They'll tell you why. All you have to do is ask them. Anybody ask you anything, why do you love that? Oh my gosh, I'll tell you. Now you understand your customer. Now you understand your relationship. Now you understand their goals and their plans and their schemes and their dreams and their passions. Cogito Ego Sum. I think how lucky you are. Here I am. I want to say two things that are really important. I had to write them down because they were so amazing when they happened to me. No one can change everything. Everyone can change something. What that means is that we're not powerless. It means that powerlessness is a decision. It means that we can choose to see hopelessness or opportunity. It means that we can get out of the way of our ego, out of the way of our, we've always, I don't know, we're never going to do. But enough about you. There's a great joke about the actress and the bishop, and the actress is going on and on and on about her latest film, and then she says, "Oh, look at me, enough about me. Let's talk about you. What did you think of my last film?" There's ego for you. And what is Rhea saying? One of our members goes to our church, had a great chat on Sunday, had many questions, got a lot of clarification on some things I didn't understand. Yes, it's great being able to talk to someone who isn't on the defensive. It's great being able to talk to somebody who doesn't have an axe to grind. It's great being able to talk to somebody who says, here's what's in it for me, and I'm going to put it in a box over here. And if you do that for you, then we can just have a conversation, person to person, human to human. You've been doing this longer than I have. What do you think? What's going on? And they'll tell you. Why? Because if they've been doing it a long time, they're passionate about it. If they've been doing it a long time, it matters to them. I always feel it's really important to ask somebody without being offensive. So you have to figure out how to say it better than this. What's in it for you? As soon as you do it that way, you're in trouble. But I have these 5 questions, right? What does it do? What is it for? What does it change? Why does it matter? Who does it serve? What's in it for me? What's in it for me that all those things are going on? If something is going to change. The ego says it must be all about me. The ego says, I am the first person here. I am I. Capital letter I, first person singular. Not first person in a group of yummy people who hug. First person singular, I. That's ego. If you look at somebody who has a passion, they had to start with their belief in it. They had to begin with their joy and their determination and their drive to see it through. That's a given. However, when I talk to people about their brand, and I talk to people about rewriting their origin story, writing their book. Good morning, Daniel. I explain to them something very, very important. And it goes back to who is it for? What does it serve? Why do they care? When you're going to write a brand story, you're writing it to communicate to other people who wonder who you are, what you do, and why should I care? So you write a story that says it succinctly. You don't write it for you. You don't begin your brand story by saying, when I was 5, I wanted a pony. The smartest way to begin your brand story is to say, if you always wanted a pony, I have a story for you. Because there's 2 people in every conversation. There's 2 people, 2 sides, 2 people. I'm giving it the individual, right? There's 2 people in every conversation. There's 2 people in every relationship. There's 2 people in every exchange. A person running for office can't be in office unless somebody else says, yeah, okay. You can't decide before you're in charge that you're in charge. You have to ask people to put you in charge. They have to be part of your power, of your strength, of your moving forward. If it's up to you to enable their movement forward, then you have every right to ask, what's in it for me? And not in terms of a kickback, but what are you planning to do when you are in office? What are you planning to do in this relationship? Are you planning to show up late in a dirty t-shirt saying, I'm here, aren't I? Because that's going to be a very short relationship with me. If there's a relationship and I'm the only one doing the work, that's not a relationship. That's a one-way street. I can't be both sides of a relationship. We can't be both sides of a relationship. It has to be somebody else standing up, leaning in, giving as good as they get. If somebody says, I want to be the person in your life, I want to be the person you look to and trust, whether it's an elected office, whether it's a personal relationship, whether it's a provider of a product or service, we are part of that conversation. Their ego, if they wish to succeed, has to get out of the way. We're going to do this, and I'm going to do that, and it's going to be this. Have you asked me if that's what I want? Have you looked around Or are you telling me how I'm supposed to think and feel and behave? Because I'm not, that you don't qualify for that. If I bring you into my life, if I bring you into my inner circle of go-to people, you don't get to tell me how to live. If I choose to give you my permission to be in charge, you don't get to tell me how I live my life. You get to orchestrate and oversee the rules that everyone agrees to. This is the mistake that people make. This is the mistake that we fall into. This is the mistake that is all ego-driven. The alpha, the strongest, the first, can't do it on their own. Mankind is a weak and scrawny species. We can't outrun most predators. We can't outfight most predators. We need each other to be strong. We need each other to lean into. All the kerfuffle right now that's going on all over the place about, we want this and you can't have that, and I'll teach you a lesson, and I'm drawing the line here, and you're run. It's a whole bunch of egos talking. And there's no talking going on. There's no one saying, how do you feel? How are you doing? I'm so sorry to hear about this. Is there anything I can do? Let me take it up with my people and see what I can bring to the table. That is leadership. That is collaboration. That is strength. In 2022 and 23, a colossal overturn of my life took place. And everything that I was doing normally, everything that I was doing to take care of my life, myself, my career, came to a complete and final halt against the terminal building. And I, in mid-step, had to completely shift, completely reassess my priorities, move things out of the way, and direct every single ounce of energy and focus I had to this other path. Because that was my responsibility. That was my purpose at that time. Was I happy to do it? I was honored to do it. Did it upend every other thing I was doing? Completely. Did I have time to work? Did I have time to see people? Did I have time to do any of the other things? No. Did I resent it? No. The most powerful thing in that, and all the energy I was using to make sure that everybody bent over backwards, sideways, around, and through to do their best on our behalf. And they did. They were amazing. The next thing that was incredible, over the moon, is that my friend said, call me when you get home. Doesn't matter what time. Every day. My friend paused and shifted their schedule to make room for me. Why? Because that's how it works. That's how it works. And the whole purpose of that was to when a whistling kettle, you pull it and it stops whistling. In order for me to be able to release the steam, to release the frustration, to get all of the immediate jumble out of my head efficiently, effectively, quickly, so that I could sleep, so that I could get good into uninterrupted sleep, I had to download it. And my friend said, I'm the download. Call me. And I did. Every day. Everybody needs to have that. We don't just automatically get it. It is something that we strive for. It is something that we work to. It is something that we nourish and water and prune and uplift and celebrate. Is it friendship? Maybe. Is it connection? Maybe. Is it shared passion and compassion? Definitely. What does it result in when we do that, when we welcome that, and then we do our part to grow that and flourish that? What happens? Magic. Magic happens. Small disagreements? Sure. We're human. Interrupted plans? Sure. Things happen. But the deep knowledge that no matter what, there is somebody who is there for me, and there is somebody who is there for them. Unconditional, no questions asked. What that gives all of us is the tether we're looking for, is the rudder we're looking for, is the connection we're looking for, is the belonging we're looking for, is the value we seek. There is absolutely no question in my mind ever, at any time, awake or asleep, that I am not seen, heard, or valued by my friend. And the reverse is true. How do I know that? It's not that I believe it. I live it. I've witnessed it. It is as constant as anything could ever possibly be. Not because they're special, but because they made a commitment. They said to themselves, you know what's in it for me? This is in it for me. And it's worth it. So in these times, in these conversations that we're seeing and hearing and being, inundated with in the current crisis, when you read or hear or watch stuff coming at you, just curiously, hit pause. Turn off the volume. Watch their face. Words are sometimes distracting. Watch their face. Replay it. Does it look like they are concerned about us? Does it look like they're thinking about the big picture? Or is it ego? Because if it's ego, that's not a relationship. They are using the platform. They are using our attention. They are using the opportunity to tell us over and over and over again, this is my good side and this is my other good side. But enough about me. What did you think of my last comment? Oh, you didn't see it? Oh, here, let me read it to you. How is that person going to represent me? They don't even know who I am. How is that person going to represent my interests? They don't even know what they are. How is that person going to show up for me and make my life more beautiful if they don't even know what my definition of beauty is? If somebody says they want to be in a relationship with us, the really great, simple question to ask is, why? Cool. Why? You don't have to say why. I often do that. I have been known. What? Why? Cool. Why? And then they'll tell you. And how they tell you and what they tell you will tell you everything. There's a famous statement by Maya Angelou many, many years ago. People tell us who they are. Why don't we believe them? People show us who they are by their actions. I want to reiterate the true definition of trust. Trust is not an emotional thing. I trusted you. It's not that. And it's not about love. It's not even about betrayal. Trust is the ability to reliably predict behavior. If a person consistently lies, is consistently late, is consistently lazy, is consistently self-centered, you can trust that they will be that way. He said he would change. Has he changed? No. Did you ever see change before? No, but I thought if he loved me, what's love got to do with it? We need to honor other people. We need to do our best to pay attention, to look at them, to watch what they do, to see their patterns, and recognize that that's what you're going to get. That's who they are. Are they perpetually angry? That's what you're going to get. Unless they're looking for an opportunity to no longer be angry. Unless they see in us an opportunity to taste a different flavor. Unless they're ready. Unless they've had their Pivotry moment. Unless the little voice in the head has said, seriously? Again? We didn't like it the last time. If they've hit that moment, then maybe we are their catalyst for change. Maybe. People are absolute when they're afraid. They want things to be predictable. They want things to be safe. They want things to be the same. They don't like change. They don't want it unknown and unfamiliar and different. They forget that every single minute, day, night, there is a change, incremental all the time. So the conversation I want to have with you about ego, lucky you, here I am. The conversation I want to have with you is actually about change. We can fear change. We can stand still, hide, flee, and have it roll over us like a boulder or a tsunami. Or we can channel our inner surfer. We can paddle out around the back of change and paddle up and get ourselves ready as the wave of change builds. And like the surfer, we can ride the crest of change and allow its momentum to carry us. Both are possible. The one thing that is not possible, I'll tell you, lots of people call themselves this, doesn't work. It's fiction. You cannot manage change. The best you can do is run alongside and hope it doesn't run over your nails and ruin your manicure. The best you can do is try and keep up. You can't manage it. People who say, I'm a change manager, that's ego talking. The survival brain is very fond of the status quo because the status quo is safe. How does it know? Because I'm alive. That's the status quo. Let's keep it that way. But sometimes externals change and we have to adapt and adjust the status quo. Our regular scheduled programming has to adapt. The subconscious brain doesn't like that. It doesn't know what to do. It doesn't have a program. Therefore, we proceed with caution. It would prefer that we hunker down. In those moments, the subconscious and the conscious brain are of a piece. However, when we are fleeing a predator, we don't run in a straight line. We look for exits. We look for opportunities. Flexibility, resilience, willingness to try is not ego. It's opportunity. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. I may not be right, but I'm here. And that's a start. So today, not that many funny conversational bits going in here because, by the way, bank account. By the way, contact all the people. Hi, I have a form I have to send you. Didn't we do that last year? Yes. And you know the funny thing, the night before, I had this wonderful evening. Wonderful evening. I went to this beautiful, magical club that I have just been invited to be a member of, and it's terribly. It's a terribly elegant place. It is remarkably beautiful. It is an exciting place to be part of. And the president of the club came up to introduce himself to me. The president of the club, the vice president of the club. All these people, and I'm being Abby Haggard, like television, and so wonderful to meet you because we saw you. I used to watch your show, so I'm writing on that, right? This fellow comes up, handsome fellow. He says, "Abby, I believe you know my mother." And I said, "Really? Who's your mother? Who's your daddy? Who's your mother?" He tells me her name, and I said, "Your mother owned a balloon decorating company." And he said, "That's right." And I said, "There's all these people. It's all these people. It's the oldest private members club in the country. It's older than the country." And I'm talking to the vice president. And I said, "Your mother used to make me dress up as a chicken and deliver singing telegrams." And he burst out laughing. It was kind of a silence for a second everywhere else. And then big laugh. And he said, "That's absolutely right." And I said, "You know the interesting thing about dressing as a chicken and delivering balloons?" And he said, "There's just one interesting thing." And I said, "Well, okay, but the key interesting thing is this. When you deliver in the rain, it often rains, you can't really wear a coat when you're dressed as a chicken. So when you get out of the car, it's the same as a clown. There's no, what kind of coat do you wear? Anyway, when you get out of the car and you in the back, open the trunk, take all the balloons out, it's raining. And you go as quickly as you can to the building, but you're wet. You're wet, not that wet, but you're wet. And the balloons are wet. So the thing is, when you get inside the building, The balloons continue to rain on you because they're wet. You're walking with them and they're raining on you. And you feel like you have your own personal little black cloud, except that it's blue and yellow and pink and green, and I'm about to sing happy birthday or happy annulment or whatever the hell it is. And so I said, people often ask, how is it I managed to stay humble? And that's a big reason right there. And and people were laughing because a lot of the people who belong to the club are, they've worked hard. They've got a level of success under their belt. But to have somebody like me saying it's not hard to be humble. And then so yesterday I'm at the bank. I said, just in case. I was thinking, here I am, and here's my other. And no debit card, no credit card, no this, no that, no the other, until I reset it. Oh, and I can't do it today. I have to come back tomorrow. Perfect. And then I have to go and contact all these other people. And then do you think I'm going to go to the car dealership and say, make sure they don't try to repossess my car? Birthday month, never dull. So the outcome of this week's events in birthday month and Aries season is this. When you find yourself up to your neck in it, there's always a pony in there somewhere. There has to be. How did you end up to your neck in it? I'm not saying be a Pollyanna. I'm saying when it hits you, whatever it is, whatever the pothole, and you pull over to survey the damage, I want you to pay attention to something. When you hit a pothole and you pull over to survey the damage, what were you in? Your car. You have a car. There's fuel in the car. You were able to put fuel in the car. You're in the car to go someplace. You have a destination. You have someplace to be and someplace that you are from. The pothole is a moment. The pothole is an interrupt, like a semicolon. It causes you to stop and reevaluate. Is the pothole damaging? It could be. Are we going to give our power away and say this always happens to me and it's like, no, I don't know what it is, the city and the and just spew out all kinds of steam out of the kettle to lose all of your power? You look at the damage, see if there's damage. You make a call. You get back in the car and take out your later folder. And you write it down. And in a situation like that, where it's big and it could be costly and it could change everything, you also write how lucky I am. I'm here. I'm fine. People will care. They're going to be wondering why I'm late. That's because they care. Oh, it means I'm going to lose my job. You have a job. They care that you're late because your job is valuable. You provide value. We have the power to choose powerless. Think about that. We are the ones who choose to feel strong or powerless. We own that power to make that choice. What the hell are we doing if we choose it? We have the power to say, I'm walking here. Am I the first person whose account got hacked? Clearly not, because it happened last. Clearly not, because there's a system in place. Clearly not, because when I showed up at the bank, they didn't say, oh my God, we've never heard of this. It means there are flaws in the system. Why are there flaws in the system? because all systems are created by people who, in and of themselves, are flawed. Well, maybe we need robots. Who's making the robot? People. Nothing is perfect. There is no perfection. Look at the world. Stand at the edge of a field and see the flowers. Now walk up right close to a flower and look at it. It's not perfect. It is glorious imperfection. Welcome to my glorious imperfection, says every flower in the field, says every bird, says every raindrop, says every pebble we get in our shoe. Welcome to my glorious imperfection. Can I get you a beverage? Sit down. This is how I see us looking at Cogito Ergo Sum. I think, hallelujah, and I am. 2 wins for the price of 1. Is it all about me? Occasionally. Sometimes it's my turn twice, and then it'll be somebody else's turn. So in this, moment in time, reading the rhetoric, looking at the stuff, there is a hide function on posts. If somebody is considered, you don't have to unfriend people, you don't have to delete them, you don't have to block them. If somebody is consistently saying something that is fear-based, that is loud, that is, I don't know if you remember, I refer to this thing as the small yappy dog syndrome. Okay. Cookie. If they are consistently doing that right now, but they didn't used to, they're having a moment. We don't need to give them a timeout. We can give ourselves a timeout and hide their comment. It's not hidden on the planet. I just don't have to look at it. I don't need to look at it. They'll be back. They'll ebb and flow. We all do. So my advice, Abby Mom advice today is this. I used to, many, many years ago, I used to say things like, cheer up, good morning, Warren. I used to say things like, cheer up, things could be worse. But then I realized that the universe might be thinking it was an instruction, And what I now say is that took planning. I wonder what the universe is trying to say. I remember once several disasters happened to me all at once, and then I was driving home after them. And as I pulled into my driveway, the car died. Half on the street, half in the driveway. The car just blew. I opened the door. I stepped out of the car. I looked to the sky and I said, stop hitting. I got back in the car and I shut the door. I got my purse, got my keys, got my stuff, got back out of the car, shut the door. And I look up, there's a neighbor across the street who was raking the lawn. He said, tough day? And I said, yep. And he said, welcome to the neighborhood. And I said, thank you. He said, anything I can do? And I said, no, I'll just call somebody. He said, all right, you okay though? Fortunately, I was living on a cul-de-sac, so I wasn't going to get hit by 47 trucks going down the highway. And I walked in the house, and there's the thing, you see? There's the thing. I lived on a cul-de-sac. My car wasn't going to get hit by 47 cars coming down the highway. What was I given? I think I just needed a timeout. I needed to have my momentum pulled, to give myself a sit down. I placed the phone call. I placed the other phone call that I had to make. Phone call to the garage that looked after me. Phone call to my bank? If this is expensive, what do I do? And then I sat down, because the next 6 things I was going to do, I wasn't going to do until somebody dealt with the car. Completely changed my day, completely changed everything I was doing. Did I need that to happen? Yes, apparently I did. In 2022, when everything hit the wall and fell down, did I need to change my momentum? Yes, I definitely did. Did it change my circumstances? Completely. If that had not happened, it's unlikely that I would be in this space doing this way with you. So as we come up for 11 o'clock and I have to go to the bank, I want to remind you of a couple of things. This too shall pass. And we're not alone. We can take a breath. We can call a friend. We can ask for help. And then we can count our lucky stars that there are people to ask. I had a wonderful message conversation last night with a very long time friend, fan, follower who has lost his mom. And they were incredibly close. And he's just at his wit's end. So we talked. And I told him what I know. He knows my story. He knows I lost both parents. He knows what I just went through a year and a half ago. He needed to know that what I was saying came from a solid place. And so we talked. And we talked and we talked and we talked. And I said, I have to go now because I'm going to fall down. And he said, I understand. Thank you. And I said, my thanks to you that you chose to reach out to me. That means so much. So when they are reaching out, if you've been saying to yourself, no one loves me, no one cares, when someone reaches out to you, they need you. You have value in their life. They feel less alone when they think of you. You change their life. You are not only not alone, you are a guiding star for them. Let the ego go grab a coffee. Choose to stop saying, I can't do anything. I'm helpless. I'm powerless. Nobody likes me. Nobody cares. Choose the other way. Enough of that. Say to yourself. But enough about me. Let's look at opportunity. It's not easy to do. The fact that I'm telling you to do it doesn't mean it's easy to do if we have developed the other habit. Why do you think I am telling you all these things? It is because I am creating Pivotry in motion, which is the process by which we learn to do these things. We learn our power of fearless intelligence. We learn our gift of healing intelligence. We learn how we grow and thrive and prosper. It doesn't come fully assembled. It doesn't even come in a kit. We actually assemble the kit before we assemble the end game. So I'm going to leave that with you. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope the weather is behaving itself for you. I hope I hope Mother Nature's tumultuous stuff is allowing you to feel safe. If there are things going on around you, find your loved ones. Stay close. It makes a difference. And I will catch you next time. Be good to you. You deserve it. Remember to hug your loved ones. Oh my gosh, they deserve it too. And thank you for making me a priority in your lives. Thank you. You're something. and I will catch you next time.